Welcome back to the Strength and Speed podcast. I'm your host, Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Evan Preparis. Brenna will not be joining me for this episode, but I do have another guest. Before we get to that, this week's episode is brought to you by Oofos Sandals. So that's OOFOS Sandals. And you can check out more about them at oofos.com. They are a recovery sandal. So after World's Toughest Mudder, I was pretty beat up. I got a pair of their sandals, so their sandals absorb 37% more impact per step. So it's pretty crazy. When you put them on, you can actually feel the reduced impact per step. And their foam they use can't be used for shoes because it doesn't have a good positive return. Like you want that compression and then that expansion on the return for regular running shoes. But because this foam just basically absorbs, they turn it into a recovery sandal. So definitely like them. If you're into ultra distance OCR, I would check them out. If you're into any sort of physical fitness and just want something comfortable to walk around in, also check them out. Just got my wife a pair also. This week, our guest is Marco Bedard. You may remember him from the Northman race, or you might remember him from the BattleFrog Pro Team, but he's done a lot more than that. So I'm going to read his bio real quick. So he's a 23 times national champion, including biathlon, cross-country skiing, and winter triathlon for Canada. He's 4 times international level medalist. He finished 10th at the Vancouver 2010 Olympics, like the actual Olympics, right, for biathlon. 35 World Cup starts, 2009 Biathlon Canada Athlete of the Year, first Canadian male to win an international biathlon race, winner of the Winter Pentathlon, which is the biggest winter multi-sport event, Spartan Ultra Beast champion at Mount St. Marie and Lake Tahoe. BattleFrog Extreme champion from Chicago, Toronto, and Nashville. And 2011, he took first place at the original Beast in Killington, Vermont. And other than that, he's been the race director for 19 events so far, spanning 7 different companies. So, Marco, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you. You have quite a resume there. So
yeah. I didn't know you were gonna read all that, but we're never stopping, so it just keeps adding.
Yeah. So funny story. I remember one of the probably my third obstacle course race was Warrior Dash World Championship, and I line up on the line, and there's all these like. I don't recognize anyone really. I recognize like Ryan Atkins because from I'd watch like one of the World's Toughest Mudder little YouTube shows they put out, and I'm standing there and like all these other athletes kind of line up last minute, including like Hunter and Ryan, and like there's this guy I look over and he's got Olympic rings like tattooed onto his side, and I was like, oh, I guess the sport's pretty serious. So
yeah, well. That was me.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny, seeing all these people who I really had no idea who they were a couple years ago, and now becoming friends with them and racing against them and stuff like that. So
yeah, awesome,
cool. So let's start off talking about the Northman race, and then we'll get into a little bit more about kind of you, the athlete, and some of your past. So I guess first of all. We all experienced Lagaf. I'm not going to try to pronounce the rest of the obstacle at OCR World Championships. But tell us about Northman race, kind of how it started, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, Northman race was always a little bit in my mind, I guess. But I guess it started more when I was working for BattleFrog, designing courses and trying to figure out good obstacles with Chris Beard and these guys. And when we came to Canada, I really wanted BattleFrog to be more Canadian, as we all knew, like BattleFrog was really American, and which was totally fine. But crossing the border was would have been kind of weird in my mind. So I was trying to figure out a couple obstacles and how to put some Canadian touch on this race, and then as we all know, BattleFrog went down, so that was I was kind of sad of that, but one of the guys at I couldn't remember which one of the Spartan championships, which Claude was always winning. They were asking me questions because I was Claude's boyfriend, so they wanted to know what I thought about her performance and all that. So, and I don't know why, but these guys they always like to give nicknames. So they said, all right, you're the Northman, you got a beard, and I was wearing my flannel like I always do. So I thought it was pretty funny, and then the guys at BattleFrog kept calling me like that because I kept wearing it, and so it kind of started. The name behind it kind of started there, but then when BattleFrog went down, I got a few calls from friends and people that wanted to work somehow and with us, and then this guy was starting a event company, and he really wanted a competitive event of multi-sports, or like maybe starting with OCR. It was really like he had heard about BattleFrog and the work I was doing with them, so he wanted me on board. So basically, he gave me a clean sheet of paper and said, "All right, I have total confidence on whatever you want to bring onto the table. So if you have ideas, put on in there." And so I built up that race based on my grandparents and their parents and our ancestors out here in a lot of, I guess, in North America. But my grandfather was on a logging camp, so I was always super intrigued and impressed on the things they were doing and interested in knowing more and more about the history. So I figured we could definitely do something honoring our roots as forest industry, and then from there they were all super excited about it. So they gave me not a freebie, but like basically they let me go on whatever ideas I had. So Claude and I we started to put all the wheels together, and we built the race from scratch, and trying to really keep it like at the closest possible as bringing respect to our heritage. So that's how it started, basically. Yeah.
Cool. And so 2017 was your first year as a race company, correct?
Yes, last summer. Yeah.
So how many races did you put on this year, and what were the distances / number of obstacles?
Yeah, so we did. We started with an obstacle race in near Quebec City on a mountain where I actually learned how to ski. So a mountain I knew very, very well. And so the first race was an obstacle race. Second one as well. We did 3 obstacle race and 1 trail event. So only trail run. And so the 3 obstacle race were 30 to 35 challenges, as in like some 25 built obstacles, and the rest more natural features that we add on some stuff for they're big enough so it's interesting to send people in there. And so yeah, the first one was near Quebec, the second one was near Montreal, and the third one was north of Montreal. So always on hills and on trails as much as possible. So the idea was to kind of build a bridge between obstacle racing and trail running, because Claude and I are big fans of trail running, like pure trail running. And out here, Northeast is amazing for trail runs. There's a lot of them, and they're super high quality. So we wanted to put the obstacle race as much into trail running as possible, and then bring all the fun and visual or logging type experience obstacle into it. So and we have an open race which was 6 kilometers, and a little bit easier. Nothing was mandatory for obstacles. Nothing is super hard. it's really for family friendly, parents and kids and all that. And then we have a 8 kilometer, which we bring the level up for so A plus, so between 8 and 10, I guess. With a couple more obstacles. The obstacles are harder, and everything is mandatory. And then we had elites, which we called timber category, which everyone had a bib number, and they were they had to do everything, and they could get some credits if they were able to do like the extreme lanes on the obstacles. So yeah, a bunch of different stuff, but basically that's what it looked like for the general outline.
Cool. Now I know you kind of mentioned it briefly in the beginning, but you said you wanted to stay true to your heritage, and some of your obstacles have like a historical background or basis in them. Can you go over, like I know the one from OCRWC has a historical connection. Can you go over like some of your more unique obstacles like that and what the historical connection is?
Yeah. I guess the gaff is a good one, because probably a couple of the people listening are gonna see they've seen it already, or they've tried it, and no, it's not a stripper pole or whatever you guys some of the guys were calling it. It's really it was really based off the logging industry with these guys, the log drivers, which we call them out here, the draveurs, which is the French name for it. The guys that were navigating on the river to get all those pieces of wood down to the mills, and that was the quickest way and most efficient way to bring the wood from the forest to the mills. And but that was also the most dangerous job as a logger back then. So that was kind of to pay tribute to these guys. Kind of, the way we do it at the races was even more visually, it made more sense visually as well. And what I would like to do it as well is to actually put some stumps in the water, and then you really have a feeling of what you're doing, like over the water to get from a log to another. But that's one of the main ones, I guess, the bigger ones. And some of them is like we have a big lineup of different walls that from the side is really 12 walls between 12 feet and 4 and 12 feet, so different size of walls. And if you look it from the side, it really looks like a two-man long saw, I think it is in English, which in French is godin d'or. So it's another funny slang name that our grandparents used to say. So it looks like this really like giant, like 80 feet long saw. So that's visually just to give a little bit of so something visual, I guess. And we have those 16 feet long two-bit axes as well that people go on it, and it's like a balance thing. And we have throwing axes as well. So axe throwing is one of the obstacles, which is actually quite a bit more successful than a spear throw. So lots of people that were never able to get the spear throw, they get to try it, and they find it, they have more success on it. And I don't know, it's a fun little thing as well. So yeah, that's there's all kinds of stuff like that. I'm trying really to put as much obstacles that are really into the whole idea of the wood and logging industry and these guys as much as possible, and trying to really do my own thing and keep everything unique, and really not just take on other good ideas, and basically just from scratch do everything fun and visually interesting as well. So I think that's a big part of the success there. Yeah.
Cool. So with obviously you're coming from a BattleFrog background. Are there rigs, or like what kind of difficulty level are we talking on for the the Northman Elite wave?
So basically BattleFrog was interesting because we had, as you know, like all those really big rigs and a number of pieces we could put in them. So we had to figure out ways to make easier middle and hard lanes. So there's a part of it which I kept, which I liked with different levels. So basically for the morning or the Saturday, the open people, they get to do a like easier version of everything and everything that's changeable basically, which is mainly a few rig type obstacles that are easy to change. And then for the competitive people, the ones that are timed and racing for age groups and elites, they have two different ways to do it. So there's the normal way, which is harder than the open, but still totally doable, challenging but doable. Which if they do, and then they keep going. If they can't do that, then they need to retry it. Obviously, it's mandatory. And then there's an extreme lane, a timber lane, we call it. So anyone that wants to try it, that is in the competitive wave, has one try on it. But if they can do it, then they get we say a wood cord, but it's just the name for it. It's like a bracelet that they get to take with them. We take the numbers, and then at the end, they get credits. So instead of penalties, if they do like really hard obstacles, which I try to have at least 3 of those credit obstacles. So always one that's based on agility. So like a really extremely hard rig type, which is basically 5% maybe if the people that really are going to be able to do it, and then they're going to get a credit if they can do it. And then strength based obstacle that's like a hoist or something that's like really, really heavy. So that, small guys won't, there's no way like a super strong runner will be able to do it. But that big buff guy might be able to do it, and then they get a credit there. So you can get this one, and then a speedy, more like speedy type one. So it's all based on a little bit like OCR chance. We're in the teams. You have those different levels of agility, speed, and strength. So we have that as well. But really, each part of these segments is really timed by its own, and we have winners for every part of those. So there's always like a super fast guy that somehow is not necessarily going to win the whole thing, but he might win his prize, which in that case is like a full gallon of maple syrup. So people are actually fighting really hard for this one, and that's usually an extremely strong runner that's going to win this one, because there's not a lot of hard obstacles, or everything is super fast in that segment of the race. And so you really have an overall of only that segment, and then an overall of strength segment, which is like more really heavier type obstacles and really strong muscle strength and all that. And then the last one is obviously the agility, which is a lot more balance and agility type obstacles. So there's really 3 winners for those, and then the overall winner and all the age groupers that are. So we're trying to give as much bling as possible to those guys, because we know OCR peeps likes the bling. So
yeah,
that's part of it. Yeah.
Cool. So wait, so if I do the elite or whatever, the timber lane, right, and I get a credit, like, does that reduce my overall time, or it just makes me eligible for the like the bonus prizing?
No, it really gets you your overall time. Will if the credit is a minute, then at the end you give your bracelet, and we take off a minute on your overall time. So you might come in third, and then you have 2 bracelet. You give them, and you might be first after that, which actually happened this year. We had every single race for men, at least every single race had different winners for different of those segments. And in one of the 3, the first place really changed. Like the guy that was in 4th came in first because he was able to get enough credits. So that was interesting. Same for the women. There was even more change up in the rankings from the credits, which is different than from penalties. So that's a little bit of what I wanted to bring into that. Like, you do have to do all the obstacles. All the obstacles are doable, but if you're really good at something specific, like you're really, really strong, and then you never get anything special for it, or you're really like you're freaking ninja, then you're gonna get a credit for it. So you can really win something else, and then you can even like reduce your time by doing that extreme lane and have fun doing it as well. So
that's a pretty cool concept. I like it. It kind of reminds me of obviously a lot longer, but cycling, has the climber's jersey and the sprinter's jersey and then the overall jersey.
That's actually where it's from as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
so it's all little things like that, doing a lot of multi-sports. Claude and I, we've always been, loving sports in general. And every time we had a challenge of any sport, we're like, you know what, we're going to give it a go. And our ski background helped a lot, because we got a lot of training into like a sport that's not super specific in a way. There's little things like that I thought was cool into all these different sports, and figured why not bring it to obstacle racing. So this one's pretty much where it's from. Mm-hmm. And we have bibs as well, like yellow bib and all that from the points leader and all that. So all these guys get bibs with numbers, and then the top guy get to run with the yellow bib at the next race. So that's fun as well.
That is cool. So you got me all excited already for the Northman race. So have you released your 2018 schedule yet, or have you? Do you know how many events you're gonna do?
Yeah, part of it. I guess we're working on right now. I don't know when that's coming, but it's probably going to be out in a few days. So we're working on a different layer now with Northman. We're going to have the trail race again, because that trail race went like really well. We had like 1,400 people or so. And then we're going to do at least two obstacle race. So the two same ones we had this year, the first and the last one, in Quebec and near Montreal. And at the last race last year, we actually, something that you might be even more excited about is the marathon part, Northman Marathon, or North Manathon, like Claude likes to call it. And that was basically a challenge that I really wanted to throw in the Northman race from the start, but it didn't make sense right off the bat, because it's super niche, and like it doesn't draw like the masses basically. But we were able to try it at our fourth event this year, and it was a total success. It went super well, and so it was basically a challenge, a multi-lap type, but a little bit of BFX, toughest or worst toughest, and these kind like mixed up together with a little bit of survivor run type stuff. So basically you would run on both of the course, the 6K and the 8K course. So you can have two little bit different courses with different obstacle types and stuff. And every lap you do, you had a different challenge to do. So, and really based off the old school logging industry. So people totally loved it, and they actually ran the whole race with a hatchet as well. So that was part of the first one. I'm not sure how we're gonna do it next year, but we're definitely gonna do that challenge. And we only had one guy, Sébastien Dion, which is a ultra racer, which was able to actually complete the marathon, like do enough laps to get everything he had to get, because he had to get all the challenges per laps, plus get the distance. And he was the only guy who was able to do it. So he got the super big double bit axe that was at the GAF this year. Mm-hmm. There was one where all the lost rubber bands were on. That's that's his trophy for being able to get the challenge in the time that was allowed. So that was really fun, and that's really I'm a big fan of longer stuff, and as you know it, and like you, I guess, maybe not as much as you, but totally like I like that kind of stuff, and this was really the way that I would like to race it. I hope one day maybe I'll get to do it, but I doubt it very much. But that would be the one way I'd like to do an ultra race, is kind of the way I'm trying to put it out there. Yeah.
So when you say the guys were running with an axe, like they're running with an actual axe, or like the plastic ones you had at World's Toughest Mudder?
No, an actual hatchet, but that was a test. Like I said, it's probably not going to be working out this year. But
okay.
Yeah, that first one was basically a test. So I invited some people to do it of different levels. So we had two extreme ultra people. Hélène Dumais, you might know her. She's pretty. She's doing all those crazy 888 kilometers stuff, and like all those Fuego de Agua and survivor runs, all that, and Sébastien Dion, same type of athlete. And then we had more normal ultra guys that do a lot of ultra, but like not really necessarily for winning or anything. And then we had guys that were more in the normal, I guess, type of people, to really get a feeling of what everyone thought about the event, and the way I throwed everything at them. And all the levels of athletes we had totally fell in love with it, because you can basically do whatever you can, and then you stop when you have to stop, or you just like keep on going until you can't, basically, until you don't meet the timeline. So that was super interesting. But this was really a test that I was doing. So these guys didn't pay for it, or so that we didn't get in trouble or anything. But they wanted to carry their axe, so it was all, you know what, why not? But yeah.
Yeah, you invited me to that event, and I had another race that weekend, and then I ended up having to work that weekend, so I couldn't go to either. So I was a little upset I couldn't make it up, but no, it definitely sounded like definitely a cool event.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And that other layer I'm talking about is kind of in that direction, but more with trainings towards this. So really putting people initiation, like into an initiation of really extreme sports. And for this layer, this time, like before the first Northman race in Quebec in May, we'll have 4 events that people will learn skill sets, like to kind of climb high mountains. With one of our ambassadors is gonna. He did Everest a couple times, 2 times, I guess, and all the other big mountains. And he's gonna do K2 or attempt it in June. So he's with us with this, and showing skills like high mountain skills and survival skills and all that towards training, and putting people into getting elevation gain at every of those training, and trying so that people can try to actually get 8,861 meters of gain, which is what, like 25,000, like it's K2, so the almost as high as Everest, but a lot more dangerous. So that's gonna be fun. Like, I can't wait to do that. And we're gonna tent up, put camping up on mountains this winter. So in the cold Canada winter. So that's gonna be super fun. But like really for a really small group of people that are crazy about crazy stuff. So this is a different layer, definitely different than obstacle race, but it's in a way, the essence is kind of the same, going back to the roots, and enjoying learning how to do challenges and stuff. So I'm definitely really excited about that.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you're making a lot of smart moves. I know with OCR, it's hard to get people, if they're not already part of OCR, it may be hard to get people in, and having a trail race and some of these other challenges, I feel like brings in new crowds, and then you can just, point them towards OCR or point them towards your other events.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think that's a smart, like a diversifying move.
Yeah.
So with being a race owner / director, what would you say? What were I would say the unexpected challenges directing before as part of BattleFrog, and you said when you took over and started your own series, what was kind of the big shocker or something you maybe thought was going to be easier and it was harder, or harder and easier and vice versa?
I guess I'm definitely embracing it. I think you have to, because event like anything into the event industry is going to be hard. It's usually like super big rushes, and then it's more chill, but it's still every time there's an event, it's the stress for me. The stress is the main thing. It's really stressful, like to get events, like some events. I did this year at like almost 4,000 people. So doing obstacles that you basically gave a thumbs up for this obstacle, and you're the one who designed the course and make people go into on the ground and like in the water and across a lake and all that. And it's you kind of have to have we say in French a wide shoulders. Because basically everything's kind of, especially for Northman, like this was not my idea, I guess, to really put my face on the logo and like the nickname I had. Like I was not gonna go for it, but we figured, like there's gonna be only one chance ever, so whatever. And for marketing, they thought it was so fun that they had to do it, but at the same time, it's like a double bit edge, because it puts me on the spot really, really all the time. Like I need to be, like perfect every way. Cause, if something happens, then I know it's not like, 100% my fault, but it's still, it puts me on the spot like a lot more than when you're just like part of a company. It's like everyone thinks I'm doing everything, which is not the case. Like we're a team and everybody does like a wonderful job, but it's still, the biggest challenge for me is actually this, like putting the hours, I'm totally fine with it. I embraced it, and I put it in kind of my, training regiment, which I don't have anymore, but, I know when I'm doing a race, and this year I did I directed, 4 companies for this event company I work for. And, definitely Northman race was the hardest, just because it's my baby. So I do not count the hours. But every single race I work with, I know it's going to be a hell, like for 2 weeks of, nonstop day and night, and really not sleeping much, and just like on my feet all the time, and on hills, or dealing with, weird people. Like sometimes the owners are not easy to work with, or, all the little things that happens that you don't really control. But it's fun. I mean, man, I wouldn't change that for the world. I know it, and I know for a fact that it's a really changing business. So everything switches on a dime. Like every month, like there's new stuff. There's stuff that dies, and OCR here. That's the main reason why I didn't want to only do OCR, is that there's so many obstacle races out here. Like on the Northeast, like in the French part of Canada, there's too much, and there's so many races that every race company is working like with their heart out. They're just working so hard to impress everyone. That's bringing the quality to just a different level. Like all these small races are super high quality, but at the same time, like everyone's just more and more difficult on the race they want to do, and then there's new races here and there, and there's races that dies every year. So we're really trying to do our best, everyone. But I think with bringing like a lot of really new things, these guys get they get to try different things, and it makes a lot more people happy. And to me, it's fun too to really change the crowd, to go to a trail crowd or a mountain crowd, which is kind of the same people, but not really. And then you do some marathon stuff or some ultra stuff, and then you get a totally different crowd. communities are more or less the same, but it's really refreshing to switch up from one to another every once in a while. So yeah, but it's all fun. It's all fun.
Cool. I love that your face is the logo. I think it's great. I think you have the athletic resume and the personality and the competence to back that up. So I think it works out well in this instance. So I'm a fan.
Thank you. Yeah.
So speaking of your athletic resume, let's talk a little bit more about you, the athlete. So a couple years ago, you were on the BattleFrog Pro Team. Now, I remember seeing a post online somewhere, and you got to confirm if this is true, and then if it is true, we need to talk about it, that BattleFrog was going to do a reality TV show with the pro team. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, that was actually quite interesting, but it never went anywhere. Just because it's funny because I think they overestimated high-level athletes in a way, like because they were gonna do something, or I guess they did. Like we spent a couple days or a week. I can't remember how many days in Arizona, in Phoenix, in Arizona, to film like that reality TV thing. And they said they didn't want to call it a reality TV show. Can't remember the name they used, but like a social experiment or whatever. And but we joked so many times in biathlon. We joked so many times about that. About it'd be so funny if a reality TV crew came here and filmed us because we're so boring. and they didn't want to believe it, and we're like, you can't do much with us. Like some of us, like Hunter or these guys, they're made for that. But most athletes that I know, anyways, are not TV material, basically. So it was me, Claude, Ryan, and Lindsay, and Corina, and Coach Payne, and Beard, and Sarah Watson. Another guy from another sport, but I don't know. I guess they did the show. They did the preview or something. They presented it to TV company, and it never went anywhere. Obviously, I mean, I know for a fact I'm not like I'm okay, but I'm not gonna make drama. They were really trying hard to put drama into it, but it's not gonna happen. And same for Ryan and Lindsay and Claude, and I think Corina was probably their favorite because she's so all over the place. But for the others, we had our doubts, and obviously it didn't go anywhere. So we were actually happy about it because we didn't want to see it. Yeah.
Well, so. I think you hit it on the head. It's really hard for athletes because, like you said, you eat, you train. You got I go to bed early. There's not much. Yeah. There's not much exciting. There's not much drama. Like I feel like my home life is very stable. I'm not getting in fights with my wife.
Exactly. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. We're like, and things that get us excited is like, Salman got a new pair of shoes. And we're so happy, and it's like, okay, all right, you guys, we're gonna take a drink together, and we're like, none of us really drinks much, and they couldn't get much out of us, so yeah. It's good though. We didn't like it very much, to be honest, and they actually put us on in a corner in a way. They said, all right, we're gonna send you guys to Arizona to that football thing. And we ended up going there, and not for the football thing at all. We got there, and they're like, we're gonna do some shots, some videos and stuff, and some interviews to, sell BattleFrog. But it ended up being that TV show thing, and so we were all we didn't know what to do with it, and it was weird. But let's not do it again.
So I feel like to get a larger mass appeal in concept, it's a really good idea because people love reality TV shows, and I don't understand why. Because I watch them and I'm disgusted with the people that are on TV. Just like we kind of talked about with so much drama and unnecessary problems. But I also think like that's a good way to draw in more mass appeal. I think, I think we need someone like Hunter to have his own TV show, and maybe a couple of the other kind of characters we have in OCR.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah.
You'd have to really film it over a year, and really kind of pick and choose because, like we said, it's mostly training, sleeping, and eating.
Yeah.
So.
And usually in individual sports, when you're down, like the last thing you want to have is a freaking camera in your face. Like you're so pissed at yourself, and most of us, anyways, most of the guys that I knew very well in biathlon, like on the World Cup level, is we're really into our own little head, and we don't exteriorize very much our emotions usually. Like some of us do, but most of us were just like a big sponge, and like we take it in and we move on to the next one. And biathlon was hard for that because of the shooting. There's a lot of ups and downs. Like it's really rare that it goes well, like on skiing and on shooting. So there was a lot of bad races all the time. So we learned to take it in and just eat it and then keep training and keep looking for the perfect race. And I think OCR is kind of like that with all the obstacles. Like it's really rare that you get a perfect race, that everything goes onto plan. And then when you're really happy about it, you're so used to kind of taken into yourself and with your teammates that are, there's when your race is perfect in biathlon, like the teammates, their race is not perfect. So you don't want to, like go on roofs and be like so happy and everyone else is like down. So it's a weird kind of thing, and it makes for weird characters as well. Like everyone's just like, living day by day. And so I would never have imagined being into one of those shows, because same thing, we don't even own a TV here, so we have no idea what's going on, but we see like those videos on Facebook of reality TV shows, and we're like, can't believe like people look at that. And then when we were invited, I guess we were putting to one, and we're like, oh man, that's not gonna go well. So, but that, like you said, that would be in a way interesting to see for us. But I'm not sure that the random guy that finishes working and sits on his couch to look at a bunch of like super athletes putting their legs up at the hotel room and just chatting about sports and shoes and the new skis. I don't think that's really exciting for the common people. So it's probably why we don't see much of those.
Yeah, I'll have to mull that idea over for a little while and think of a solution there to get more mass appeal. Yeah. So with all your Northman stuff going on, are you still racing? And kind of what can we expect to see from you in 2018 as an athlete, not from the company?
Oh man, this year was hard for that. The good thing with BattleFrog was I was still kind of I guess paid for to be an athlete, and I wasn't as good as Ryan to say no, so I really wanted to switch it up to that job. And I think it was more into obviously performing since he had a lot more years to go, I guess, than me. But so I kind of, with BattleFrog, I kind of went like, I'll do 2 in a row. I don't care. I don't mind too much. Like, so work for a full month without really actually training. But then I made sure I raced a lot, so I had my training into races, and that's actually when I started doing BattleFrog extreme races, because I couldn't train very much, so I figured that would be better, and that's the only way they would let me race those races, because they really wanted us to race the elite races. But then when I was working a lot, I figured I could do that, and that would be better for my training, which it was a lot. And this year I kind of tried that, but there's not a lot of multi-laps or longer races out here. And I was gonna do a couple of Ultra Beast, but it just never happened. And then I did a stage race, a trail race on 3 days, which is over 140 kilometers or something, like really, really beautiful race. But I sprained my ankle on the second day, so that was too bad. And then I did a couple more of longer races for trail running, which was easier in my schedule. And then I obviously designed all these races. This year was pretty crazy. I did 13, I think, 12 or 13 races only in the summer. So that got me to walk a lot and jog when I could, but it's mostly walking and putting stakes down and tape and arrows and all that fun stuff. So, which is actually good. I love that. Like, I love just walking in the woods and opening trails and cutting branches and stuff. But it's really bad for training because I don't do any strength or speed or anything. So it's really, I spend a lot of time on my feet, which is really better than sitting, I guess. But so I feel like I got pretty slow. But somehow in those races, I felt really good. I think I was super hungry every time I did a race for the couple ones I did this year. And, but next year I think it's going to be a lot easier in a way, cause I'm going to focus more on Northman. So normally I'm supposed to do only, anything Northman and another one, Prison Break, that's called. And the races we have planned so far would be 7 of those. At 7 places we've been already. So we've done a race there already. I know, like, I designed like those 7 races this year where we're going to go next year. So normally instead of putting 140 hours on a course, I'm going to probably be able to put like 70 or something. So even less something sometimes. So that should be a lot easier for me to pick and choose a couple more races that I want to do. But yeah, like, I was able to do a toughest in Whistler, but that was a last minute thing as well, because I had that weekend and I figured, screw that, I'll take points, for aeroplan, so, flight plan, points, and I'll just get myself to that toughest, Whistler, which same thing, I freaking did something wrong with my hip, right off the bat, like at 5 minutes from the start. So, it just ended up not being super good, but that was fun. Like, this is really, that toughest race, that's an idea I really like. That's why that, Northman Marathon is kind of, like a 7-hour-ish thing. And for me, it seems like 8 to 10 hours is good. Like, under 100 kilometer, is always, plays to my strength. And I don't get hurt too bad from it. I can, do something after that. So I'm going to try to do a couple more of those. Obviously, a couple of skiing races this winter and some winter stuff, as much as I can. But yeah, I'm trying not to, plan for too much racing. And then, if I know for a fact that I'll be having, a week or, weekend off and there's something interesting, then I'll try to do that. But I'll definitely try to do some of those toughest races. I love that whole idea of racing in the night for 8 hours. And that's cool. That's really cool for me. So, yep.
Yeah, that's a good distance. I like, again, as an ultra athlete, I like the 8-hour distance. The 24-hour distance just obliterates my body, and I just need a lot of. You need a lot of recovery time. 8 hours, you need decent amount of recovery time too. But
yeah,
it's it feels like magnitudes of order difference between the two.
Yeah.
So last question. I know I've seen you got there was a Northman team at World's Toughest Mudder or a Canada National Relay team, and I know I've seen some Northman jerseys at OCR World Championships. So do you guys have a team, and if so, kind of who's on it and kind of what's their background, real quick?
Yeah, we, one of the things that I wanted to have is, a couple guys that, on what would feel like a team. One of the perks of training all those years for a federated sport on a national team and provincial team and all that, was always to have those teammates always together with them, and doing training camps and talking about training stuff and getting better all together. And that's something we've kind of had with BattleFrog, and yes and no. Like it was more taking the plane on the Friday and then racing Saturday and then leaving. So we spent like a couple hours together. We got a lot closer, like Karina, Ryan, Lindsay, and Claude and I, but never the same. It was never the same as back when I would spend weeks with the same people and really get to know them really well. So I was trying to really build something that meant something for these guys, and not focusing necessarily on superstars. So more towards genuine people that really wanted to do something for the right reasons in a way, like which I mean there's a lot of them, but there's a couple of guys that I knew better, or some of them that I didn't know very well, but I heard good things about them. So I kind of put together a plan that made sense for more a bonus plan, so that you get to be kind of an ambassador, but with bonuses. So you'd be really part of a team, and then from there, if you wanted to put some work with us as well as just racing, which is basically what I did. Like I was always racing, and then I got offered a job because I kind of asked for it in a way, and that brought me to maybe a career, right? So I was trying to figure out a way to get these athletes involved into the process of building a event and rules and all that. So and pay them for that, for working onto the concepts and the designs of the courses and building of the obstacles, and I think for most of them they really got into it and they really liked it, and some of them I think even found a new love for sports, just because they kind of knew, but they didn't know, like everyone that's doing all those events, they kind of know how hard it is to put up events, but they don't really know until you are actually part of it. So by putting those 8 athletes onto the crew, if we can call it like that, they get a really appreciation of the whole process, and then they get to go out there and let that love flow through everyone. So I think this was a success, and they loved it. So yeah, the athletes you probably saw most of them at some of the events. They're pretty obvious with the plaid shirts and team shirts and stuff. So Ben, and it's all guys, like the 4 guys are from, we all live really close. We're almost neighbors, like from 1 kilometer away. 2 guys are more, one is a veteran, one is a musician, but like a super, super nice guy and like really good OCR racer. And, one is, still military and a little bit better known, I guess, Benjamin Marin-Boucher. Claude she's injured, I guess, but, she's definitely, a big ambassador for us. And then the 3 other girls, are from more Montreal, but they're really, like, they're always going to do, some podium at every, level of regular races, and they did a few podium at Savage races. Actually, the toughest, the first tougher mother, Anne, one of our girls, went there and she won it. So I mean, like, they basically, like I like to say, I'm not getting them on the team because they win, but more because they smile. And that's the case for all of them. And it feels like they all had a really special year. And they all performed their past results this year because they felt like they were on a team, but there was never any pressure on them. It was always, the first thing I want from them is to get them involved. And if they want to put more time into their training and whatever, then that's good. And then if they do perform better, then they get extra bonuses from it. But it's not about performance. It's more about, the feeling of mutual respect and loving the whole industry and the whole event industry and smiling basically. So yeah, that's more what it looks like for the team, I guess, for this year.
Cool. Well, love the concept. Sound a lot of the things you said echo the Conquer the Gauntlet team. So obviously, I'm a big fan of that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I think that about wraps it up for us. Before we go, where can one is the Northman website in English yet? Because last time I checked, it was all French.
Yeah. It always was, but I guess we're redoing everything because there was a little button on the top right corner, which was not very obvious. But I guess we're redoing all the websites of all those races right now. We're doing that for the full month. So yeah, everything is going to be bilingual, and even some of it is going to be there's going to be Spanish, I guess, in it as well. So trilingual for to get more international, I guess. But yeah, so at NorthmanRace.com or Google or Facebook or whatever, we're easy to find. Most of it is French, as you said, especially on Facebook and stuff. But we're trying to bring that as much as we can as a bilingual, since we're trying to expand sooner than later. So yeah, you can find us anywhere on Facebook or on the website and find the events and all the excitement about it.
Cool. And then any final shout outs you want to give to family, friends, sponsors, etc.? I kind of want to buy some of those the shoes you were talking about. Yeah, the UFOs. Yeah, they're
UFOs.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, no, I like that. I have the Salomon, I have a deal with Salomon, but everything is good. I like their stuff, but yeah, no, it's all good.
Right on. Well, Marco, thanks for coming on the show. Personal thank you from me. It's weird to be involved in a sport, but also be fans, and then at the same time, be friends, and then also be fans of some of the athletes. So I don't know if I've ever actually ranked my favorite OCR athletes, but I think you're at the top. One, because of your your ability to perform super well, both at kind of short and long distances, which I obviously respect a lot. Two, going to so many BattleFrog races, and I always see you on the elite podium, but always on the second step because Ryan was always there.
Yeah.
So I feel like I empathize with that a lot, because I feel like I've gotten a lot of seconds and thirds and be like, so close. It was so close.
Yeah.
And then my other favorite thing about you is, I don't want to get down this topic because we just released a fairly long podcast about it, but whenever doping comes up on Facebook and I start scrolling through the results, you're one of the pros or elites that's outspoken against it. So a personal thank you from me, and I think that's an important tone to set, especially coming from the top athletes in our sport. So
yep. Oh yeah, we're working on it on this on a different aspect that I think could work a lot better. So that's for a different talk, but to kind of educate people about it before trying to catch them, and it seemed to work really well in Canada for different sports. So. Yeah, so another topic for another day, but that's definitely a really important step for me for personal reasons.
Yeah, well, thanks again, Marco. It's been a pleasure having you on, and if you ever have any big news in the future, definitely hit me up, and we'll pull you back on and discuss it on air again.
All right, awesome, Evan. Thank you.
Thank you.